Hi everybody, my name's LauraRedWitch and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all really well. Today I'm going to take you on a little adventure if you'd like to come. It's nearly Samhain time and I would love to take you on a walk around the fields, the woods and the lanes at the base of the Tor. You'll get to meet some of my favourite trees and share some wonderful views, maybe quite a lot of views of the Tor. While we walk, I'll share with you some simple and fun and deep ways of celebrating Samhain for people who are just beginning on their pagan path and for those who've been studying and practicing for a long while. So what are you waiting for? Let's go on a big Samhain adventure. So as we walk along the back lanes towards the Tor, I want to show you some tree friends and some magnificent tree beings that you see when you walk the paths around Avalon. And if you've not seen a fairy tree today yet, you're about to see one. Look at this magnificent mother beech growing from out of the wall with an ash tree, I think, next to her. Look at their roots together. It's a beautiful thing about beech trees. Their roots are always above the ground, or a lot of their roots are above the ground. Look at that. And there's a fairy doorway to journey into the other world. So I think that's a nice way to start our walk, to see such a magnificent and beautiful tree. I think I should rename this video Trees Growing from Walls. Awesome trees growing from walls. Look at this oak behind me. I'm going to show you from the other angle some of the amazing trees around here. Look at this beauty. Look at this oak. Hello, crow crow. And here, this oak as well. These are just some of the majestic trees that you see as you're walking around the lanes by the Tor, and some of the portals into fairy and the other worlds that you can visit. Thank you, great oak, with the holly growing next to it. I'm at the time of year where holly is well and truly in charge. The Holly King rules at this time of the year. And at the winter solstice, they'll fight again, and the oak will be back in charge for the yearly cycle of summer and winter, life and death. Hello, cow cow. So, when walking through Glastonbury High Street with its bustling shops and new age atmosphere, witchy, pagan, shamanic, and all the things you can buy and talk about, it doesn't take too long at all to rise above the streets and be in what I love most about Glastonbury: the mooing cows and the crows and the trees and the land. You take a fairly short, steep walk and suddenly you're out and you're in the lanes and you're in the country and you're in the beautiful fairy and very active farmland that surrounds Glastonbury town. So I'm going to take you on a walk through the lanes by the Tor to some magical places. It's such a beautiful morning here in Glastonbury. It started off quite frosty and now it's cleared up to be sunny and beautiful and bright. And it's late October near Samhain, and I want to take you guys on a walk and share with you some of the magic of the less trodden paths around the Tor and in Glastonbury. And yes, to meet some magical trees, to see different beautiful views of the Tor rising out of the mists, and also to share some ways of celebrating Samhain, which we are coming up to really shortly. Now, for most pagans and witches, and actually for a lot of non-pagans as well, this is such a favourite and magical time of the year. Samhain is a tide of magic, of mystery, of mists. It's a time when our fantasies and our dreams and our fears all dance in front of us. As I've mentioned in many other videos, there are two tides of the fairy year that are very strong. That is Beltane, which is the tide of life, and Beltane, which is the tide of sex and fertility and bringing new fecundity to the world. And there's a tide of Samhain, which is the tide of death. Being in the sign of Scorpio, it still is about sex, but it's about sex, death and rebirth. It's a time to honour the dead. It's a time to celebrate life and celebrate death. And it's a time to really go back to the roots of Samhain. It's a time to really go back to the roots of who we are. So in this video we're going to chat a little bit about how to do that, but I keep getting distracted by how beautiful everything is. So I want to show you everything that I see. But that is one of the beauties of Samhain as well. There is so much life still to see, so much beauty and wonder to share. So as we celebrate dark and death and the changing of the seasons to the winter months, I also want to share with you the brightness of life, the beauty within and without, and things that you can celebrate and really let stir your soul this time of year. This video could also be renamed to Laura Shows You the Tor from many different angles as she walks around. I just hope it's doing it justice. It probably isn't, because it's looking so beautiful this morning. I have lived here 6 years this Samhain. So I moved here over Samhain in 2013. And that wasn't planned. That was a very witchy accident, or one of those meant to be things. And so yeah, this Samhain will mark my 6th year here in Avalon and in Glastonbury. And still, that tour, those sights from the different angles, always takes my breath away and always shows me something new and something magical about the land and about how our ancestors would have walked and worked in this place as well. So how do we connect with the deep heart of Samhain in a way that works for us, in a way that's going to be powerful, magical and real? Of course we have the very commercial Halloween, but that does have its roots in Samhain. So we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, sorry. We can really work on enjoying some of the modern aspects of Halloween, but bringing it in with the core of Samhain, the core of the old year and what our ancestors might have felt. So Samhain means summer's end. It's meant to mean summer's end. And you might think, well, Laura, summer ended a long while ago, but in the turning of the seasons for our ancestors, this would have been the end of the harvesting season. So Samhain is the last harvest, the first one being at Lughnasadh, the second at the autumn equinox, and the third now. The livestock will be taken from their summer grazing into their winter homes, and while doing that, the people would have thought about what they wanted to take into the winter. So what livestock, what crops would have been harvested and also slaughtered to last them the winter months. So for us, it can also be a time of thinking, what do we want to take into those winter months? What do we need to let go of? What do we need to release? It's a perfect time to pause. I also feel October is a time when we walk between the worlds. It is a time when magic and mystery is so close to us. And if maybe we stray one step off the path in a misty morning or misty afternoon, we could end up in the realms of fairy or the other world. So it's a time to enjoy that energy, to enjoy walking between the worlds, to enjoy the mist and the magic of the season. So give yourself that time to do that. If we're always rushing around with our routine and things we have to do, we miss these transient beauties that happen at this time of year. Being a pagan, or just being an awesome human, part of that is really connecting with nature and really spending time attuning with the different seasons, attuning with the land, and meeting fabulous trees and plants and animals, as this lovely ash tree I'm going to show you in just a second, who I've just met and just connected with, who guards a gateway in front of me and also guards a view of the tour. So before I share with you this ash tree, take some time this Samhain season to pause. Not pause this video, keep watching this video, but to pause, to relax, to take some time to reconnect with you. How do you know what you want if you don't stop to listen to your body and your soul? How can you really clear out the past if we're stuck moving forwards all the time? So give yourself this time to really enjoy the dance of the seasons as the trees release the leaves, so you can release the things that no longer serve you, allowing you to move into those winter months with power, with beauty and with strength. Okay, enough of me, more of tree. Here we are, this beautiful ash tree. Trying to get the so you can see it properly. Look at you. And there we have the tour. I hope you're enjoying all of my many different views of the tour. And I hope you're enjoying this walk, this October walk between the worlds, to connect with Samhain and to connect with the spirits of the land. So first way of really connecting with Samhain is putting yourself on that pause button, giving yourself the chance to relax and to stop and to reflect before we go into those darker winter months. And then to go out into nature, to walk with the land, to connect with the beautiful land wherever you are. There's always beauty, even if it takes a little bit of a discovery. Find the sacred places near you. Find the sacred trees near you. Which trees, which bushes, which bit of land, maybe which stones really appeal to you. And spend some time there. Maybe make a plan to walk there a couple of times a week and to get to know them. It's a really beautiful time of year to walk as well, where you're seeing nature changing and shifting. So make some time for you and make some time for nature, to honour the changing seasons and the cycles of the land. I think those two are two of the most important things you can do to really genuinely connect at this time of year. And then thirdly is something I was literally just thinking just now, is gratitude. I feel just super blessed to be here, to be out here and to look at this wonderful land. And I'm just filled with gratitude for being here and lots of other things as well. And to count your blessings at this time of year is a really powerful and magical and wonderful thing to do. I think we often worry about the things we don't have. Like a leaf hitting me in the face. The things that we don't have, rather than really feeling in our hearts the gratitude for the things that this year has brought us so far. So be grateful for what you have. Even if you haven't got all the things that you hope for, that really doesn't matter. You will have something today that you can say thank you for. I say thank you now for this land, for this beautiful space, for the trees and for the mists and for nature. So really in your heart have a gratitude ritual this Samhain, and that can be a beautiful way to celebrate and to really realign yourself with the things that matter to you most in life. Number 4, remember that Samhain is a festival of the dead. There is much mischief and joy and celebration of life at Samhain, but its core is in honouring, remembering and celebrating the dead and the ancestors. So we have a society, maybe you don't where you live, but I know we do here, that hides death away, that doesn't connect with death on a weekly, monthly basis. In fact, most people do not die at home, and within the community they die elsewhere. So we have such a disconnect from death. And I think even in the spiritual community we focus a lot on rebirth and miss out on the messy bits, miss out on the endings. And so we can't have Samhain unless we contact the darker side of life, the night time to the day, with we connect with those that came before us, those that walked this land before us, the loved ones, the people that we have lost, and also the animals that we have lost, any lovely being that has touched our lives. And so this is a time to remember and to honour them, and we can do so in so many different ways. It's great to find some photographs of your loved ones, of your ancestors, of your family, of your pets that have passed over. Maybe frame them or put them on the altar. Maybe put them in a space where you'll see them every day and do something really lovely for them. Just remember them. Maybe tell a story of what they've done, or really think about the things that they gave you and blessed you with in your life and how they made you smile and the things that they did that really touched you. On Samhain itself, it's traditional to leave a meal at the table for the ancestors. So you can leave a space at your dinner table and cook a plate of food, and you place it for those that have gone before. It could be a specific ancestor or ancestors in general. It can also be traditional to have this supper in silence, to maybe invite people over, but to prepare the meal and to eat the meal in silence to honour the dead. Either way, it can be really beautiful and powerful to remember your loved ones, to remember those that have gone before, by cooking a meal, setting a place at the table for them and leaving it there for them and honouring them. Also, with the fairy faith, what is traditional is to leave a fairy plate of food, either outside in your garden or an altar or a sacred space where you connect with the fairies. So this Samhain, not only can you leave an offering for your ancestors, but also you can leave an offering for the fairies. By the way, the fairies like this at any time of year. So it can be a lovely thing to do, to create a fairy altar and leave a plate of food for them. Not leftovers, but food that you're gifting to them. You can also do this and leave this at a sacred site, as long as it is all biodegradable and not going to create a mess. But to leave food and offerings for the fairies and for the spirits of the land not only honours them, but also puts you in a place of receiving their blessings for the coming year. So the ways to honour your ancestors and the fairies at Samhain are quite similar, because to our own ancestors, the realms of the Fae and the realms of the dead weren't always so different. A lot of the fairy tales at this time of year and the folklore remind us that on Samhain night, when the veils between the world are thin, we can not only connect with the dead, but we can connect with the fairy realm. So at this time of year, when those veils are thin, we can honour those that have gone before and honour the fairies in very similar ways, by leaving offerings, by really feeling their presence on those misty nights, and by inviting the good spirits into our life. So let's go over the different ways in which we can honour Samhain and honour the spirits of Samhain that we've gone over so far. Number one, we can take a break, take a pause, take some time out for ourselves. Really relax and reflect on the year so far, and maybe pat ourselves on the back for the things that we've achieved, and maybe reset some goals for the next few months. Number two, take some time out in nature. Go for some walks, watch the seasons change, connect with the trees and the sacred land. Really find a place that sings to your heart and spend some time there. Number 3, be grateful, be full of gratitude. Really honour what you have been blessed with this year. Count your blessings and rejoice in them. Number 4, remember the dead. Remember the ancestors and the spirits of the dead. And I mentioned about getting photos out of them. But what you can do as well is to create an ancestral altar. So you can do that by getting some photos, maybe some of their possessions, rings or memorabilia of your ancestors, and lighting some candles and maybe burning some incense, and really enjoy focusing on and connecting with that energy. It's a really beautiful thing to do over Samhain. Tell stories of your ancestors, remember the past. If you don't have memorable family around you, you can tell fairy tales or tales of the local area. Basically connect with the folkloric past of where you are. And then we have 5, connecting with the fairy realm. One of my favourite things to do, of course. Don't forget the fairies this Samhain. Leave an offering, leave a plate of food for them, leave some gifts for the fairies. Again, ones that will biodegrade, ones that aren't going to litter up the environment. So cook a plate of ancestral food to leave for your family members that have passed on, and leave some food out and a drink for the fairies. They particularly like mead and cream and butter and bread and freshly baked items. But if you give them a heartfelt gift, it will be appreciated and there'll be blessings on you for the year ahead. So as I continue my walk, I'm going to share some more ideas of how you can celebrate Samhain and connect with the spirits of the season. And number 6 would be to, of course, honour the god and goddess at this time of year, to honour the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and maybe create your altar in a way that represents the seasons and also depicts the god as the winter king. For me, at this time of year, the divine masculine is so strongly Gwyn ap Neath, especially around these lands by the Tor, about to ride out on the wild hunt with his huntsmen to claim the spirits of the dead and to bring magic and mischief and mayhem to the stormy skies of winter. And also he is the winter king within the depths of Anun, within the depths of the underworld. And we have the goddess. Well, how do you see the goddess at this time of year? The Morrigan is really powerful at this time of year as well, so we connect with the Morrigan at Samhain. And I spoke a bit about this in my podcast, I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, so you can have a look at the Mystical Realms podcast where I talk about the Morrigan at Samhain. But you can also see the goddess as she turns to the crone, as she becomes the wise woman of the winter months with her cauldron. So as the trees lose their leaves, we can see the goddess as the winter queen, as the crone, as the wise woman of the woods. But however you celebrate this time of year, create your Samhain altar to reflect that. Whichever deities or goddesses and gods that you feel are connected with this part of the land, then place them on your altar and make your altar really personal. Of course, pumpkins are great this time of year. This is quite a new thing for the UK, but it's still a really wonderful, truly wonderful, I love pumpkins, way of celebrating Samhain by decorating a pumpkin and putting that on your altar, carving a pumpkin, and placing that on your altar with a candle inside. The colours orange and black are associated with Samhain. Black for death, black for the night, and black for the darkening year. And orange for the fires that burn at Samhain. Orange for the magic of hope and the return of life. And orange for the sacred fire that we burn at Samhain, which I'll talk about in my next point. Samhain fires are a traditional way to celebrate this season. Our ancestors would have had great big fires to burn off the last of the summer and to also protect from the spirits of the winter and the darker side of the year. Fire is purifying, so we would use the fire to purify ourselves, and fire is also protecting, so it brings in the energy of life and protecting from the things that we would rather keep at bay. So fires are very important at Beltane and at Samhain, and so in your Samhain celebration, if it's possible and safe to have a bonfire with your friends, do so. If not, then you can light a candle. Perhaps you have a fire in your home, a little hearth or a log burning stove, but a candle is fine, because the fire ignites the hope as we go into those darker months. By lighting a fire, we light the divine spark of hope, of life, and of magic and passion into our own lives. So lighting a fire, no matter how small, is an act of remembering the ancestors, so we honour the ancestors with fire. It's an act of purifying, releasing that which we do not want. It's an act of protecting, keeping away that which we don't really want around our energies, and also to ignite hope and to light the cold winter months with the warmth of hope and of fire. So you can light a fire in your Samhain ritual, whether that be a bonfire or a candle or something in between. And as you do so, you can really you can have this as a part of a ceremony where you do all the things that we've spoken about so far. So light a fire and reflect, light a fire and remember, light a fire and be grateful, and light a fire and honour the ancestors, the fairies, the goddess and the god. And now we come to the fun stuff. Well, to me it's all quite fun, but celebrating and dancing. As the fire is burning and we're remembering the past, it's time to literally build our energy, to build the fire within as well as without. So Samhain is one of those times that is very, opposite. You've got the dark of the winter coming in, and we're honouring the dead and we're celebrating the past, but also it is a time of also being quite playful and quite childlike. It's a time to dance and have parties, maybe even have balls as well. So if you maybe can find out in your local area if there's a pagan ball or an event going on where you can dress up and you can pretend to be somebody else for an evening and celebrate and enjoy dancing the night away. We don't want to forget that this is a time of mischief and magic and fun, and a time where people, our ancestors as well, would dress up to confuse the spirits. So they would dress up in probably more animal parts than, a plastic outfit from the supermarket. But, they would have used antlers and fur to create masks and outfits. And they would have this night of being wild by the fire. As you go into the winter months, you don't want to go in quietly. You want to go in roaring and full of life and full of passion and full of strength, and honouring the wild energy of this time of year. And also the thought was, if you dressed up, then you would confuse the mischievous spirits that are all about at Samhain time. Because let's not forget, this is a time when the spirits of the dead can roam the land, and also the spirits of the fae can roam the land. And not all of these are kind of relaxed and chilled. Some of them want to cause mischief in the human world. So by dressing up, it confused the spirits and they didn't know how to play tricks on you. So that is the origin of why we dress up for Halloween. But I think it's a great time when we kind of play with that energy and confront things that maybe we're more scared of, because I feel like this is a great time of year to do that, to confront things, to play, to bring the opposites in, the fear and the joy, the passion and the endings. So yes, dress up at Halloween. Enjoy that. Don't feel you're just doing a modern take on things by dressing up. You enjoy finding what's going to make you feel happy and empowered this Halloween. And Samhain, Halloween, both words are good. And also, if you want to add something that reminds you of animals, reminds you of the wild, that could be paying homage and honouring the ancestors as well. For me, I like to wear my antlered headdress because the antlers are of the wild, of the deers, and connects me with the beauty of the deers and the stags. But do what feels right for you. Get dressed up, enjoy, have a party, celebrate, bring the fire and passion of life to the season of death and endings. Don't worry, you might have thought I'd forgotten to give you more views of the tour. I wouldn't do that. Here's another beautiful view of the tour. A really well-known aspect of Samhain is that it is a time for divination. As the veils between the worlds are thin, it can be the most perfect time to get that insight and to really go deep and connect with the other world. So working with the tarot, with the runes, or with whatever divination methods that you like, oracle cards or ogham sticks, this could be a great time to either learn about these things, to learn about divination, or to give yourself a really special time where you do divine maybe for a specific question, or just see how you can move forward at this time. So working with divination is beautiful and powerful. I'd say just make sure that you ask questions that are going to feed and nurture your soul. Make sure that the questions you ask the divination tools and the spirits are something that's going to feed you, that's going to be the bigger picture, empowering, maybe rather than small details. It's such a powerful time. You want to make the most of it. So connect with divination tools, connect with oracle, and perhaps spend Samhain evening as part of your ritual doing a little reading or having a little dip in with your oracle, your runes, maybe to see what the month ahead holds or what the spirits have to say or the energies have to say between Samhain and perhaps the winter solstice for you. And finally, my last point, and I have lost track of how many points I've had so far, but my last point would be that this is a time to reach out to the community. So Samhain for our ancestors would have been a big community or tribal gathering where we celebrated at the very least the end of the harvest and the oncoming winter and feasted. In this day and age, a lot of us can feel quite separate or not have our own group or people that we connect with. And maybe this is not just about magical practice, but this could also be about with your community as a whole. So it could be a time to reach out to the community, maybe to do some volunteering or some charity work. It can be really lovely to donate coats and jumpers to homeless charities at this time, or to do whatever you see fit, which really helps you reach out to others. And not only in a charity way, this can be a great time to join in with community events and community gatherings. So perhaps research in your area if there's a Samhain event going on with your local pagan group. Or maybe there's some interesting talks going on that relate to, what you're interested in. I mean, even non-pagan sort of groups have talks about death or about the ancestors at this time of year. So it can, and also about nature and about, maybe you want to go on a fungus walk and find all the mushrooms, it could be a great time to reach out to the community, to reach out to others and celebrate as a whole. Of course, you may want to have your Samhain ritual personally. You may not want to share that with others, but around the time of Samhain, it is wonderful to reach out and to connect with other people in the community as a whole, and to really work together as we go towards the winter months. Who am I kidding that was going to be my last point? I knew I'd have more points as I was walking around the tour. Of course, this is the season of the witch, the season of really going inwards and working your magic. So this is a season of absolute creativity. As we started this video talking about the pause, the time out to reflect and renew, really go within and explore your inner worlds, explore your inner realms, and create from that. No one's judging, no one needs to see it. It's lovely to see your art and your work, but this is done for you. So create something which expresses the magic you feel at this time. Create something which expresses the magic of the season and how you feel about the changings within and without. You could create a poem, you could create a story, you could journal and commit to journaling for a month or so, or a set period of time. You could draw, you could sketch, you could paint, and you could create a collage. Whatever feels right for you, whatever is your creative path. I will do another video on creating in the autumn and winter months, but Molly Roberts on her beautiful YouTube channel has lots of creative videos you can go and have a look at for some prompts and some ideas. You could also do some creating to honour the ancestors. So really enjoy exploring the inner worlds and the fruits that reside within. Talking of fruits, apples are the fruit of the season. It is indeed the last harvest, and it's a time of celebrating the apples of this time of year. There is a fairy lore that says that the mischievous and sometimes terrifying puka spits upon the apples after Samhain, which means they become a little bit disgusting. And the blackberries too. Basically the fruits go off after Samhain. So there is a law to say you pick your apples and your blackberries before Samhain night, and you celebrate with them on Samhain, which is why activities such as apple bobbing is popular, because it does combine the fun aspects of Samhain with the seasons of the apple and the last harvest. Now, apples are the fruits of immortality, and they also contain the pentagram inside them within the seeds, but we will talk about that another time. But enjoy the last fruits of the seasons, enjoy exploring the inner realms as well as the outer realms. And from me and the tour and the rest of Avalon, I'm sending you so much love, and thank you for watching this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all really soon. Happy Samhain season. Bye.